or welcome if you're new. My name is Emma, and this is Emma's Cottage. In today's video, we're gonna do something fun. So we already did a peekaboo shirt with sublimation design. You can see that here. If you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and I'll link it up above so that you can watch it, or just go find it later. But in today's video, instead of doing sublimation, we're going to do HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl. So if you have a cutting machine, such as a Cricut or a Silhouette or any of those other cutting machines out there, then this is gonna be a fun project for you. Let me show you how it turned out, give you a quick sneak peek. Yeah. So what are you gonna need for this tutorial? You're gonna need a blank shirt. I used 100% cotton. You could use a blend, whatever you wanna use. Just make sure that whatever you're using is going to be able to adhere to HTV. Or the HTV is going to be able to adhere to it. So I've got my blank shirt, and then you're gonna need a piece of fabric for inside the shirt. In my case, I actually had a lot of extra black shirts, so I repurposed them and cut them into strips. You're going to need HeatnBond Ultrahold. That's super important. If you don't get this kind, then your shirt will more than likely start falling apart. I have washed my shirts, the ones we did in the last video, 3 or 4 times now. They are holding up great, and that's even in the wash and the dryer. So I haven't had any problems so far. You're gonna want your Fiskars roller. This is seriously one of my favorite tools. If you don't have one, run, go get one. All of the things I'm going to show here today, I will make sure that I have a link in the description below so that if you don't have a local craft store, you can still order through Amazon. I used a lint roller. I used heat resistant tape. You don't have to have the heat resistant tape, but it came in useful for me. You're going to want a heat press or a Cricut heat press. A regular iron doesn't work so well when you're trying to press HTV, so you're definitely going to want that for the HTV part. And then when you're actually sealing on the HeatnBond, then you could definitely use a regular iron, or in my case, I used the Cricut, the mini Cricut, so that worked good for me. Then you're gonna want the mat. The mat is like the key item for this project. It is a little pricey. I wanna say this was, more than 20 bucks, but I have used this mat so much. This is the Fiskars mat. It's the 18 by 24. It's just the perfect size to get your shirts nice and tight, because the tighter the better for this type of shirt. Then lastly, you're gonna wanna make sure that you get vinyl. In my case, I used, not vinyl, I'm sorry, HTV, heat transfer vinyl. So in my case, I purchased it through 143vinyl.com. I'm not affiliated with them, but I have been very happy with their service. And they're so quick. Like, I get my product usually within 3 to 5 days. It's probably not even that, probably 3 days. I got the glow in the dark HTV, and then I have the red HTV there. So kind of cute. So if this looks fun to you and you wanna, try it out, then tag along. Okay, here we are in Cricut Design Space. Now, as you guys know, I have a Cricut machine, but if you guys have a Silhouette, then feel free to use whatever software that's going to work with your cutting machine. We're gonna go ahead and click upload. Now that we have our image, we wanna make sure that we bring it over here. I always like to use an SVG file if there is one available, and I'm gonna show you why. So I am just dragging and dropping it, and it automatically names it based off of the name of the file. The only thing I'm going to add is SVG, and I'll show you why here in a second. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to click upload. And there it is. Now I'm also going to upload a PNG. I'm going to hit complex and continue. Now this is where it gives you the opportunity to look at it to see if you need to take anything out. I don't want to take anything out. Like, let's say you didn't want this heart, you could just hover over this and click it, and it's going to take away that heart. But we want the heart, so I'm going to undo it, and I'm going to hit continue again. And let's just say we want this one for a print and cut, and we're going to type in PNG, and I'm going to hit upload. All right, and I'm going to do it one more time, again, just for the sake of training. We're going to grab the PNG again, complex, continue. I'm going to hit continue again, and now we're going to click the cut image. And now we're going to say PNG cut. And then we're going to go ahead and click upload. Now we've got all 3. I'm going to go ahead and select all 3. And then we're going to click insert images. All right, look what's going on over here. Lots of stuff going on. So first thing we want to do is let's zoom out so we can see it better. Let's grab this one image there. Let's grab this one, and let's grab this one. So let's start with this one. When I click on it, you can see that, again, this was the print and cut. This was the PNG. You can see that it's all one layer. So if I wanted to take something out, I would have to do different things to remove the baby. Same thing with this one. It's all one layer. If I wanted to take something out. Now there's ways of taking things out, but I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. I just wanted to show you how they show up based on a PNG and based on an SVG. So these show up as one image, as you can see over here, basically all welded together, and this shows up as a whole bunch of different little images. So I'm going to go ahead and hover over both of these, and I'm going to hit delete because I prefer working with an SVG. Now, when I have this clicked, you can see over here on the right-hand side that everything is selected. And the reason for that is because it's all grouped together. So the first thing I want to do is ungroup it. The next thing I want to do is I want to group these together because I definitely don't want that to be messed up. I hit group. Now I can move that up where I feel like it belongs. There we go. And now I do not want the baby for my cut. Now this would be absolutely adorable. If you were pregnant, absolutely, but I'm not pregnant. So I'm going to highlight the entire baby and I'm going to hit my delete button on my keyboard. There it goes. All right. So now what I like to do is I like to get myself a template. If you click up here on templates, I type in shirts until I see this classic t-shirts. It's the one I typically usually use. Now up here you can see men's short sleeve, you could do women's short sleeve, you could do small. I'm going to go ahead and do men's short sleeve because that's the type of shirts I have, and this shirt is going to be for me, so I'm going to keep it small. Now I can highlight this entire thing and I can hover it over. Now with a Cricut, if you have a 12 by 12 mat, you're limited at only cutting 11.5 by 11.5. So if that's all you've got, no problem. What you're going to want to do is you can see this is, or maybe you just want it this size. Then you can totally leave it at that. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to group this. I'm going to hover over it and group it. So I definitely want it bigger. So what I would do is I'm going to change this measurement to an 11.5 because that's the maximum that you can cut on a smaller mat. So the way you would do that is just up here, you can see the width and the height. I'm going to change this height to 11.5. And that made the whole thing bigger. And right now you could go ahead and cut this like this. But I was playing around earlier and I felt like I wanted to have a few more bones, like backbones going down a little bit further. So to do that, I'm going to ungroup. And what I did is I just clicked on this bone. I'm going to hit my shift button and I'm going to click on that bone. Now I've got two bones selected. You can see them over here. I'm going to right click and click duplicate. Now I'm going to grab these. I'm going to bring them down. Now as you can see, the bones get bigger and bigger. So I'm just going to like put this teeny tiny bit bigger so that it kind of coincides with the rest of it. There you go. Now, if I made these bigger, if I grouped them, you can see it's 13.9. So in that case, you would need a larger mat to cut it like this. However, I do want to show you a few tricks for this training. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it. I'm going to grab these two, move them over here. I'm going to grab this one. Oh, I forgot that I grouped that. Just one second. Let's ungroup those. I'm going to grab the heart and move it over. And I feel like I need to make this a little bit, move it up a tad. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to select this whole section here and I'm going to click attach so that when I cut it, it's going to cut it exactly like this. We're going to go ahead and click make it. And now you can see that it has split it up in a few different ways. So let's move this there. We're going to turn this to its side. Bring it all the way down. Now let's go to this mat over here, and if you click on it and then hover over this, you can see the three dots. Click on that and click move object. You need to select which mat you want it on. We're going to select this one. Hit confirm. Here it is up here, and now you can put it down here. So it's all going to cut as one, and then you could add these two yourself down below. So that's one way of doing it. So you're going to cut this one mat, and then you're going to cut this one mat. But the way I'm going to do it today is with a longer mat because I want to do this all in one cut and not have to do two separate cuts. Let me show you how to do that. So if you have a 12 by 24 mat, this is how I am going to do it. Now let's detach this because we're going to attach it all together again. We're going to grab these here. I'm going to put them where we think we like them. That looks good. Maybe over a skadoosh. I'm being picky here. How about right there? Yep, I like that. All right, now I'm going to highlight the entire thing and I'm going to click attach. We're going to leave the heart unattached. Now we're going to click make it. You can see it's showing up two different mats. Well, we can trick the system and this is how you would do it. So right now it's selecting the black colored mat. We're going to grab the pink colored mat
And just like we did before, we're going to move this object by clicking on this little circle and click Move Object. We're going to tell it we want it here, and we're going to click Confirm. Now, you can see that it instantly changed that heart from pink to black, and it's because Cricut thinks that you're cutting all one color. There's a few options here based on how you want to cut. You could definitely put the heart up here, but what I'm going to do is I want this extra square here, and I want this extra square here for me to be able to use at a later date. So I'm going to leave those blank. I'm going to put this right in the middle. You can see there it's 6 right down that line. That looks middle to me. And then what I'm going to do is probably between this 15 and 17. So you can see this 15 here, the 17 here. I'm going to grab my heart. I'm going to put it right in the middle of that square. So it's between the 1 and the 2 line. If I scroll up, you can see the 1 and the 2. And it's between the 15 and 17. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have red HTV. I'm going to cut a red HTV square that's 2 inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to make sure that it fits right here on my mat. And that way I know that it's going to cut red here. And it's going to cut my glow in the dark HTV here. So the next thing we need to do is click mirror, because anytime you're doing HTV, you want to mirror your image. And then we're going to hit continue. Now it's telling us, hey, at least one of your images is larger than 11.5. So you're going to have to continue with the larger mat. Well, we already know that. So I'm kind of surprised it said that because we already selected the larger mat. So we're going to hit OK. The next thing we're going to do is select what material we're using. You could do everyday iron-on, or you could do heat transfer non-Cricut. I've used both. I'm happy with both. I'm going to go ahead and click the everyday iron-on. Now make sure anytime you see these warning signs that you read them, because they are very important. Make sure your mirror is turned on and that the iron-on material is face shiny side down. If you cut it shiny side up, you just wasted all your money. So make sure you're reading these and following the guidelines. So let's say you forgot to mirror it, and this was a good reminder for you. All you have to do is come over here to this edit button, scroll down, and make sure that this is turned on. And it is, so we are good to go. We're going to hit done. Now next, pressure. Now typically, when I'm doing everyday iron-on, I like to do the default because I don't like my blade to cut through the plastic, because the plastic is what's used as almost like a barrier when you're pressing the shirt to protect your press. However, my blade is a little dull right now, and I did a cut last week at more and it didn't cut through. So I'm going to go ahead and click more. And again, that's just because my blade is a little bit older and it's a little bit duller, and I'm not afraid that it's going to cut through that plastic. So all we have left to do is go and load our mat and then load the Cricut machine. So I'll meet you over at the table.
Okay, so we've got our longer mat. This is the 12 by 24. I actually got this mat off of Amazon. I'll make sure that I have a link in the description below if you're interested in getting something like this. This is not a Cricut brand. Works out great for my Cricut machine. So what we're gonna do is I've got my glow in the dark HTV that I got from 143 Vinyl. And as you guys can recall, Cricut reminded us that the shiny side needs to go face down. So you can see, hopefully you can see from the camera. This is definitely a very dull side, and that is definitely very shiny. So we're gonna do shiny side down. We're gonna start all the way at the top. You can definitely even come down like 1/4 inch, because you know that Cricut will not cut that first 1/2 inch down a little too far. Just to save you a little bit more material. Here we go. So there is our sheet of glow in the dark HTV. And now we need to do the red for the heart. Again, I got this also from 143 Vinyl. I'm not affiliated with them. I just have been very happy with their products and service. So I'm just going to take this over to the 2-inch mark. So as you remember, we needed a 2-inch by 2-inch, so that I'm going to cut it again another 2 inches. There we go. Now we need to do the same thing. We need shiny side down. So looking at this, sometimes it's hard to tell. I can tell that this is the red color and this is the shiny color. But one thing you could do, just in case you're confused, is you need to find out which side is the sticky side. So if you need to grab, and this one's actually starting to come off, you can grab the two, and you can see that this one definitely is more of like a fabric type material. Like you can see it's not sticky at all. And then this side here is definitely sticky. Okay, so knowing that we want the material to cut and not the plastic part, and we were able to kind of see that because it was kind of hard to tell on this one which one was shiny. we want to make sure that the plastic part, basically that transfer sheet, doesn't get cut, but the material gets cut. So we're going to put the material face up and the plastic cover sheet face down. And I'm going to put it right here between the 15 and the 17 and between the 1 and the 2. This is what it looks like. Cricket's thinking that it's all cut in one color, but we tricked the cricket. So let's go ahead and load this into the machine. All right, so the cut is all done, and now we just need to go ahead and weed it. I always like to use my tool here to kind of push down the main image so that it will stay while I am weeding the rest. All right, so I usually like to start at the very tip, and I do leave everything on the mat. It's just easier for me. I feel like it's just an extra hand so that I don't have to hold it down as I'm trying to weed. Unless I'm around the edges, then you usually do have to hold it down. I almost forgot that I wanted to keep these squares. I almost pulled them out. So to do that, I'm just gonna grab my little blade here, and I'm going to cut across and down. Being careful not to cut any part of the image. Ta-da! How cool is that? I love the satisfaction of weeding HTV. And now on these two sides, I can keep these for a later project. Same thing with the red. We just need to get our red heart cut out here, or weeded. Voila! There you go. So now we just take it off the mat. Just one of my squares. The other square, I'm gonna save these for later. Got my heart. And I always just store them sticky side face up so that the stick doesn't go away. And then I'm gonna carefully pull this. Now this is where I typically say you don't want to do the more pressure, because if you have the more pressure and you have a really sharp blade, that part is really difficult to do because it will cut through this plastic part. But I have a dull blade, and so that's why I did the more. If your blade is brand new, don't select more pressure, select default. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is get our shirts ready and prepared. So I am going to do, unlike the last shirt that we did where I had a piece of polyester, white polyester in the background, I'm gonna do black on black so that my white glow-in-the-dark HTV really pops and shines through. I think it's gonna look really cool. So you could definitely use any type of material for this. I'm using, these are, I believe they're both 100% cotton. So this is a really good use of your 100% cotton shirts that you can't sublimate on. So that's how I'm gonna use them. Instead of having to run to the fabric store, I'm gonna use this 3XL shirt that I have. I don't sell very many of that size, and I have, I think, 2 or 3 of them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. And I could probably get a few different shirts out of just this one. Let's see, probably what I wanna do, I wonder if if I fold it in half, that leaves me quite a bit. I mean, that's plenty of space, and I probably won't even need that much, but just to make it equal so that I've got it on stock for later, I'm just gonna fold it in half, make sure that it's flat, and I'll probably just cut this section up here, probably get 2, yeah, I can get quite a bit out of this. So I'm gonna use my blade. I'll have this in the description below. Love this blade. It's the thicker one, so you can cut, you know, this is quite a bit that I'm gonna be cutting here, and it will definitely cut right through this. Voila! Too cool. All right, there's one cut there. I'm gonna cut off this bottom part because we definitely don't want that, which is like the hem. All right, and then you could cut off this side, or you could open it up and just cut it right down the middle, which is probably what I'll do. All right, and then you're going to want to do the same thing for the sides. So open it one more time. And there's a crease mark from how it was folded. So I just line that crease mark up. I've got the 9 down here, the 9 down, the 9 up there, the 9 down here, and I'm just gonna cut right along that. And that pretty much leaves us with quite a bit. Just measuring right here, it looks like it is about 15, 16 inches. So that's gonna be plenty for what we're doing. Again, I'm just lining up that fold mark, that crease mark. Just gonna help me know what to follow as I cut. Now, if you don't have a crease mark and you want one just so that you can follow it easier, you could absolutely get one by using your hot press, which by the way, this is not on, so don't freak out that I'm putting my tools here. It's not on. You could definitely fold it in half and crease it with your press so that you have a really definitive line of where you want to cut. Now, if I wanted to use this top part, absolutely I can. Or, you know, I've got a really cool hip top shirt. Probably won't use it for that. But I'm just gonna try and get every little piece I can out of this because I can reuse it. Now I know this piece doesn't make a ton of sense, but I didn't want to cut too much of the fabric off because I don't know what I'm going to use it for later, and I just want to make sure I save every little piece that I possibly could use at a later time. All right, let's put this blade away for a second, and let's move on to the actual design. I bet you this piece will work fine. Let me get these other two out of the way. And let's lint roll this because it's a black shirt, so there's lots of lint all over it. All right, let's turn on our heat press. Unlike sublimation, the temperature for HTV is a lot less. We're talking 305 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and lower my temperature from my 400 sublimation temperature all the way down to 305. So while we're waiting for that to heat up, we're gonna go ahead and place our HTV on this image, not permanently because I wanna do a pre-press first, but I at least wanna see how it's gonna fit. So to do that, I'm gonna put it upside down. So the sticky side is face up. And all I'm doing is just looking to make sure that this is gonna fit, and I think it's gonna be perfect. And if we have the excess, we can cut off any excess that we don't need. Keep in mind though, we definitely wanna keep at least 7/8 of an inch on the sides, the top and the bottom, because that's how we're going to be adhering it to our shirt. Okay, we are at temperature. So what we need to do is we need to press this first to get any extra moisture out of the fabric. So we've already lint rolled it quite a bit. And now I'm just gonna throw it in. And really I'm only concerned about this main center part where the bones are going to be to get the moisture out. So I'm gonna do it right down the middle. I want to try and get, the sides are trying to fold up on me. I want to try and get those as flat as possible. Now you definitely could cover this with something, but I have my Teflon paper or my Teflon sheet on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And I'm going to press it for like 5 to 10 seconds just to get any of that moisture pulled out. That should be good. Now to lay our image or secure our image onto this piece of fabric. So you can eyeball it, you can use a measuring tape, whatever you want to try, but I'm going to try and center it right in the middle. The good thing about HTV is if it's not quite center, you can pick it back up and put it back down where you want it. I think I did a pretty good job eyeballing it. Yeah, we should be good. All right, so there you have it. We've got it ready to be pressed. I'm gonna lay it down on my heat press here. Now my heat press is 15 by 15, so it is just wide enough to fit this image. If you recall, it was almost 14 inches, so I won't have to press multiple times to try and get this to all fit in, which is good news. And again, you can use this, you don't have to have extra protection. I do have my Teflon paper though on the top plate there. I also have it on the bottom. We're just gonna press for 10 seconds at 305 degrees. There we go. Ta-da. And then this is a hot or a cold pill, so we're just gonna go ahead and peel it off. Okay, now that we have the skeleton portion pressed, we need to press our cute little heart. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of eyeball it where I think it needs to go. And that looks pretty darn good. So now we put the heart on there, we eyeballed it, now we need to press that on. So we want to make sure that we're protecting the rest of the HTV. So to do that, I am going to cover it with a piece of parchment paper. Just like so. Looks good. And then we're gonna press this for another 10 seconds. All right, we should be good. And then let's go ahead and carefully peel this off. Again, it's either a hot or a cold peel, so we should be good to pull it off. That looks awesome. I'm so excited to see the end result. You guys, look how cute this is going to be. Isn't that so cute? Okay, so now that we have that done, I'm going to turn this off just for a second while we prepare the rest of the shirt. And to do that, I'm gonna grab the shirt here. And let's put this over here, get it out of the way. Take my sticker off. And I'm going to put the shirt right down the middle of my cutting board. So this is a Fiskars cutting board that I bought at my local craft store. I will make sure that I leave the link for this in the description below in case you don't have a local craft store. They do sell them on Amazon. So, and right now I'll go ahead and give a shout out, let you guys know that I am an Amazon affiliate. So when you guys do purchase using my links, it definitely helps this channel, which helps fund all of these fun projects that I do so that I can bring them to you. So thank you so much for those of you that do use my links. Okay. Got it on, and I want to try and make sure that it's center as possible because you don't want this to be off center. It looks silly. Okay. So here's the idea. Something like that, and I have another idea. What if we did, that is like almost exactly the size we need. Actually, it is exactly the size we need. So this is going to be a perfect tool to use so that we know exactly where we want it. Let me get my ruler here. I do this just to make sure that I've got it exactly where I want it. Okay. I usually like to go 3 to 4 inches down from the neck before I start an image. Not 3 to 4 inches, I'm sorry, 3 inches. And that's about right there. And then I also want this center. So I pretty much have this shirt pretty center. So I'm going to just measure from this side over, and then from this side over. Looks pretty dang good. And then I do the same thing at the bottom because sometimes you can have your paper laying on there crooked. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do so that this stays in place while I cut is I am actually going to tape it down so that it does not move. Do you have to do this? No, you could totally eyeball it and you could just cut. But I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I like to know exactly where my lines are going to be so that I'm not off center. So in fact, I'm going to do this one more time, make sure I'm happy with the placement. Yes, looks really good. Okay, so one thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm not going to go all the way over to this edge. I only want to go over, I want to make sure that I'm leaving at least maybe even a 1/2 inch on each side. So if I have to measure that, this paper is so thin, I can just use my fingernail to kind of write a line here. You could totally use a pencil. That works, as long as I have a visual of how far I want to go over with this. I'm just doing about 1/2 inch. Hopefully you guys can see what I did there. See, I kind of made an indent on both sides with my fingernail. And then I just know that I am only going to cut to that line. Then the other thing I do, I get my ruler here, and I just use this on the side just to show me how many 1/2 inch that I'm going to be going down. It just gives me a good visual. Starting at the top. And then I'm going to use my Fiskars Rotary tool to cut through this. And I'm going to start about an inch down, I think. Let me just double check. I know, I'm such a visual person. I have to just keep checking. Yeah. About an inch down and then an inch up from the bottom. So here we go. Again, I'm not going to go past those lines that I just created. And I think what I'm going to do is go every, the last shirt I did, I think I did every ½ inch. I think I'm going to continue doing every ½ inch. Okay, now a few things that are really important to know. And I probably should have said this before if you guys are following along with me. Don't be too afraid about being super, super straight. Like, as long as you don't overlap, which if you did that, you're going to cut one of your things in half. So just do your best to be as straight as you can. But if it's a little like this, it's going to be fine, because the end result, as you remember from the other shirt that we did, you can't tell how straight those lines are once they start laying down. The second thing that's really important, it is better to do less and then cut more at the very last step than go too much and have it way too wide. So I always say less is more on this part. Even though I wrote these lines, there's quite a few that are way less than the line by probably ½ of an inch, but none of mine went over that line. Now, once I do the image and I seal the image to this, then we absolutely can go in and we're going to cut more with the scissors. Okay, moving on to the next step, which is pressing our material with our image on it to the actual shirt. So what I did off camera, just to be quick about it, I removed the shirt from our mat and then I flipped the shirt inside out. This is important. Make sure your shirt's inside out, otherwise it's not going to work. Otherwise you're going to have to wear your shirt inside out for it to work. Okay, so my shirt is inside out. We're using the same HeatnBond that we did in my first video. So it's a HeatnBond Ultrahold, which you can see there. And this is what it looks like. I have plenty left. I even made 2 shirts last time, and here goes another shirt. We're gonna have plenty left. And basically we're going to press it once to this shirt. This HeatnBond has 2 sides to it. So you've got a really rough side that you can tell is like a glue, and then you've got a really soft, shiny side. So this is the backing that we're gonna take off eventually. So we need to press this one down first. And I just forgot how long. Place hold, for 2 seconds. So this first one, we're only putting it down for 2 seconds, peeling off the backing, and then we're going to press again for 8 seconds once the image is on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat press back on. Now, the instructions say that you only have to do this with a warm iron. It just says preheat iron to a medium heat, no steam. So I know that we don't need this at 400 degrees. We probably don't even need this at 300 degrees. But I'm going to try and get it to at least like 250 or more to do this press. But while it's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the lengths that we're going to need. And I do that just kind of by eyeballing it. I know these 2 are going to be the same, so I'm just going to cut those to the same length. And then the same thing at the bottom. Got right there. And before I do the second press, I'll hold up the shirt to show you exactly how I laid this out. Okay. So I've got an idea of how I want this. Just making sure it all fits with what I'm going for here. Looks good. Looks good. It's going to be perfect. It's heating up pretty quick for us. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take these off and we're going to get the shirt up on this press. Now, because my press is only 15 by 15 and this is going to extend past that, I'm going to press the first one, the very top one first, and then I'm going to do the bottom ones. Make sure I got the right size. It's this one here. But before I do that top one, I just want to make sure it's where I need it by lining this up. Yep, that looks good. So again, it's the rough side face down on your shirt. We're at about 274. I'm gonna go ahead and press it. It says 2 seconds. I'll probably do like 2 to 4 seconds. That should be enough. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slide it up out of my pressing zone. And let's add on our 2 sides, and probably even need to do the bottom separate since this is so long. That. Now this probably would be easier with a mini press or even a regular iron so that I don't have to worry about fitting it, because I'm gonna have to press this multiple times now because it doesn't all fit within my press. But it's fine, make it work. And now for this last one. About right there. Pull it down just a tad. Okay, hopefully that's long enough. If not, we'll just repress it a little bit longer. This is what it looks like. So I've applied the first press. You can see, hopefully, you can see how far over I went. I wanted to give myself some leeway. See that? See how my cuts go to here and there's still about 1/2 inch on both sides, 1/2 inch on the top, 1/2 inch on the bottom. I give myself leeway. So that way, if I feel like I need to cut more, I definitely can later. But if I feel like I don't need to cut more, I'm gonna leave them just like this. So then the next step, and I've heard a lot of people having a hard time with this step, saying that it doesn't come off. So my 2 shirts worked great. Let's see how this one does. So what you need to do is just grab this paper, and mine's coming right off. So I don't know why yours isn't working. That's so strange. It comes right off for me. I think the only thing, maybe you're trying to grab too much and maybe it's accidentally pulling off the rest. But mine's coming right up. This one had a little bit of some of the tape stayed. Let's see, this one. See this one here, I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? The adhesive part was trying to come back up. So I had to sit there and I had to pick at it for a minute to be able to pull this up. But guess what? It's okay that that adhesive is coming up just a teeny bit, because when we press for the second time, we're gonna press for 8 seconds and it's definitely gonna seal it down. Go ahead and grab this. This one is like not wanting to come up. I didn't have this happen last time. A little bit of the paper residue is like wanting to stay behind. And I don't know why. Let me show you what's happening. So this didn't happen last time, it's happening this time, but it's no big deal. Some of the paper residue is staying on. So you just kind of have to sit here and mess with it until you can get the corner of it filled up. There we go. So probably what happened there is maybe I pulled too quickly. Maybe you need to pull it nice and slow. Didn't happen to me the first time. Go. Okay, and I'm actually going to change my method. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to turn on my mini heat press. This is my Cricut Mini. It's their smallest one that they have. You could use a regular iron, absolutely, but instead of running upstairs to get that, I'm going to use this. The nice thing about these minis is they heat up really fast. So I'm going to turn it on. Let's just go with the second. I don't think we need it all the way up to the highest. We just saw a string. Okay. Awesome. I can't wait to finish this shirt. It's gonna be so cute. Okay, this part's important. Make sure that you've got it upright and that it's not upside down, because once this is sealed, it's sealed. You can't get it off. And I have washed my shirts. From those of you that watched my first peekaboo video about a month ago, those shirts have been washed at least 3 times and they are holding up so well. So I am excited about that. So all you're doing is just making sure that it's completely covered on all of the adhesive sections. And then I want to make sure my image is showing through, which it is, looks good. And what I mean by that is you don't want your image so low that it's going to overlap on that adhesive part. Now this is kind of curling up on me. If you wanted to, you could probably use some heat resistant tape and tape it. But since I'm using this mini and actually it just said it's ready to go, I'm just going to kind of go across it. Now this said to do it for 8 seconds. So I'm just going to slowly move from one side to the other until I get all the way around the square. And really one of the main reasons I'm switching my method is this is HTV, and the more heat that you get directly onto that HTV, it can actually melt your HTV and it can crack it and it won't look good. And so that's what I was worried about, is using this pressing down for another 8 seconds on top of pretty much 20 seconds we already did. We did 10 for the bones and 10 for the heart. I didn't want to have to put another 8 seconds on that. So that's why I've switched to this mode. I think it's going to work better for what we're going for. Now my other piece of advice is I wouldn't go like around, because then I feel like you're gonna have a big old, like the fabric's gonna kind of ruffle on you. I'm gonna start again at this bottom part and work my way up so that the 2 ends will have the same amount of excess. Hopefully that makes sense. This has nothing to do with what I'm doing. It's just really wrinkly and it's bugging me, so I'm ironing it while I go. Okay, we should be done. And now that it's pretty much cool, I'm just gonna go and pull on all the edges. I'm not pulling hard, I'm not ripping or anything. I'm just seeing if it's gonna come up at all. And if it starts coming up even a little bit, then I would just repress it again. But we are looking pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. I don't think any of it's gonna come up. No, looks good. So now at this point, you are done with the whole iron part. And what I did with my last shirts is I cut off this excess, just so that within your shirt you don't feel like a whole bunch of fabric. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut off all the way up to where the glue is, because we don't need it. Be very careful for this part, because you don't want to accidentally cut your shirt underneath. Unless you're going for that look. Sure, why not? I am not going for that look. We're almost done, you guys. So the next thing we're going to do is flip this inside out. The easiest way to do that is turn it backwards. Otherwise your fingers get caught up in all those marks that we did, or all those cuts that we did earlier. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it so much. I am the happiest person right now. Look how cute, you guys. Adorable. I mean, I was thinking Halloween shirt, but I actually love this. So cute. Now, if you wanted to, what I was saying is if you didn't cut far enough, you have the opportunity to cut further after. This is the part I was talking about. So if you feel like, oh hey, I definitely want to cut in some more because I'm not seeing all the bones in there, then all you're going to do is get your scissors and grab, 2 of the lines, 2 of the cut lines. And then what you can do is your scissors are automatically going to stop at that glue. So you can cut all the way to the glue, or you can cut somewhat to the glue. What I did last time is I did it very like every 3 I did longer than the others so that it wasn't so perfect. I know that I kind of have OCD a little bit, but for me, I didn't want this shirt to be perfect. It looked weird to me. So I'm just going in every 3 or 4 and cutting them just a little bit further in. Don't worry about cutting too far because your glue that you just did, it stops your scissors. Your scissors will not be able to go further. Just doing a few of those on each side. Okay, that works for me. Who thinks this is cute? I love it. And on top of this, it's glow in the dark. I don't know if you can get any better than that. Too cool. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. What did you think? Is it super cool or what? Like, I love how it turned out. It's just so fun and cute. And it was really funny because my husband just got home from work. So I ran outside to say hi. We came back inside. My foyer's a little dark and it was glowing and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. So it was really cool. So anyways, if you guys liked this video, make sure that you give me a thumbs up. It helps me know that you like the material that I'm giving to you guys. And if there's something that I haven't done a video on yet and you really want to learn, make sure you leave it in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And the most important thing, don't forget to ring that bell so that you will get notified anytime I upload a new video. Until next time, we'll see you later, friends.